What's up, everybody? How's it going? So, my plan is to at least do a video a week. So I hope everyone's doing well. I know it's been a little while since I've uploaded like a pre-recorded video to YouTube, or like, I mean, really any social media platform. And I do apologize for that. I do apologize for, kind of being off in the ether. I guess I'm more of a live content person. I like the interaction. I like the back and forth. And yeah, I have a tendency of overthinking the content that I make. But the video today, what we're going to be talking about is how just kind of like the occult in general, left-hand path, satanic philosophy, LaVeyan philosophy has changed and formed who I am today. So many of you that, have been watching the channel for a while, you know my story, right? I grew up in not such a nice household, was told all the time, perpetually, that, I would never amount to anything, that I would never obtain anything, that the desires that I had for my life, I didn't deserve it, or that there was just something wrong with me and I wasn't going to be able to, reach those goals. And that idea, that concept was constantly thrown at me, just all the time. And so the left-hand path, what the left-hand path has done, what occultism has done, is it gave me back a lot of power that I thought that I lost. And when I say power, I'm not talking about magic. I'm talking about power of self. Understanding that if I want something in life, I have to go for it. I am the one that has to obtain it. I'm the one that has to go get it. That nobody is going to hand anything out to me. Nobody's going to just give me something that I want. Bitching and crying and whining about wanting something and not having it. I'm not going to get it just handed to me. So in combination, so looking at kind of like LaVeyan philosophy and the left-hand path philosophy, there's a lot of crossovers. And that crossover, one of the biggest crossovers with that is, self-deification, right? Now, again, this whole concept of self-deification, people think, well, guys know of Balg, I'm a living God. They took the concept quite literally, which is kind of stupid. And I think a lot of people do take it quite literally. If you actually believe for a second that you can become a living God, then there's pills for that. Like, I'm just going to be honest. You're human. And I think a pain in the occult community is this idea that we can move beyond being human, that we can move beyond being finite, and we can become something greater than that. And it's just delusional. Self-deification is the understanding that you are responsible for yourself. You're responsible for where you are. Choices and decisions, people. Actions. The things that, make and create, who and what you are. And that's the understanding that the left-hand path and LaVeyan philosophy provided to me. It provided to me the idea of I don't have to try to love everybody. I don't have to try to be nice to everybody. I don't have to try to be something I'm not in front of other people. That I can just be myself. And that's enough. Being myself is enough. left-hand path specifically taught me that there is no greater enemy than oneself. Simply put, the idea of creating content and putting content out, I've got a million ideas happening in my head, and I try to put as many of them together as possible. And it gets confuddled. It just turns into just like this rat's nest of wires and cables and concepts and ideas that never come to fruition. The part of that that's important is what I'm doing right now is a proof of concept. I don't have a script for this. I don't have a preconceived idea. Like I have this idea of what I want to talk about, but there's nothing scripted. There's nothing, predetermined in what direction this is going to go or what direction this isn't going to go or whatever. It just is. It's just happening. It's just rolling off the top. And doing this is a proof of concept of the left-hand path, is that nothing is going to be obtained without action put forth. That's simple. So how did it change my life? Well, growing up the way that I did, there was a very big, long period in my life where I truly believed that there's no fucking point in trying. There's no point in trying to be more, trying to become more, because I'm not worth it. Like, I don't deserve it. And the fact of the matter is inside the left-hand path, what you learn is that you deserve what you put work and effort into obtaining. So if you put very little effort into your life in obtaining your goals and your dreams, then you deserve very little. You're not putting the effort forth. And if you put the work in, have the patience, and you're willing to dedicate time and effort and patience into obtaining the things that you want to obtain, and you will eventually obtain them, because you're forcing yourself down that path. You're forcing yourself in that direction. Right? You begin to align yourself, and you begin to notice opportunities that you didn't have before, or that you thought you didn't have before. And they start to kind of come together. And so to say now how it changed, it gave me that power back. The understanding that if I want to obtain something, if I want something in my life, then I need to act to obtain it. I need action to obtain the things that I want. And this is a concept that I fully believe that needs to be kind of like just on repeat constantly for people. Because regardless of your path, that is life. It's not just the left-hand path. It's not just occultism. That's what gave that to me. That's what taught that to me. But it's not just that path. In life, you get out what you put in. If you're not putting in, you're not going to get out. It's that simple. Nothing is going to be handed to you. It's not how things are designed. Never has been how things are designed. Go all the way back to the cavemen. If you wanted to eat, you had to hunt. If you wanted to be warm, you had to figure out how to make a fire. You had to figure these things out. The work was different. What the amount of effort that you put in is probably equal or on par to now. What you're getting out of it was different, a little bit different, but it's essentially the same thing. You want to eat, you need to buy food. If you want to be warm, you need to pay for your electric bill, your gas bill, whatever it is that's giving you, heat. Or if you're off the grid, then I guess learn how to make a fire, right? All the previous stuff applies. So you get out what you put in. It's that simple. That's how the left-hand path changed things for me. This idea and this concept of I'm responsible. And now this is a double-edged sword, right? Because there's a moment when you understand that you're responsible for where you are and where you're going, that you don't want to take responsibility, because that means wherever it is that you are right now, if you're in a shit position, you're responsible for that shit position, right? And that's the hard part about the left-hand path, is first you have to accept that you fucked up and that you put yourself in a fucked up situation, or you chose to stay in a fucked up situation, and you avoided opportunity and you avoided, growth because of fear of failure. And that's another thing with the left-hand path as well. You're going to fail. You're going to fail. Failure is an inevitability. There are going to be things that you're going to try to do and you're going to fail at them. You learn from those. You accept, okay, I fucked up, I failed. Why did I fuck up? What caused me to lose this opportunity? What did I do, or what could I do differently? Because the only thing you can control is you. And again, that is what the left-hand path teaches you. The only thing you have control over, you don't have control over your job. You don't have control over your boss. You don't have control over your family. You don't have control over your friends. You don't have control over your partner. You only have control over you, and that is it. Nothing else. You have zero control over anything else that happens outside of yourself and choices that you make. So the hardest part about the left-hand path and really digging into the left-hand path is deleting, erasing, fucking 86ing the victim mentality. The I am a victim, I am a victim, I am a victim. No, you're not. If you went through some shit that fucking sucks, but you survived it, and this is something we've learned, like I learned it back in the fucking 90s. You're a victim when something happens to you. You get robbed, when whatever the situation is, right? I'm sure you can come up with a million different situations where you could be labeled a victim. We're just going to go with you get robbed, you get mugged on the street, right? You're a victim of a mugging. You are a victim at the moment that happens. You survived that situation. You came out on the other side of it. You are a survivor of a situation. You're no longer a victim. You're a survivor. There's a very big difference here. And I think people are avoiding this idea of being a survivor of trauma or extenuating circumstance. It's become cool to be a victim. It's not cool to be a victim. And in the left-hand path, there is no room for victimhood in the left-hand path. Because of the personal responsibility, because of the personal accountability. It's not to say that you getting mugged was your fault, but you can trace your actions back to something that you did or did not do, or timing that perhaps aided in putting you in that situation. That's not victim blaming. That's not saying it's the victim's fault, but it's understanding that there's a certain level of personal accountability in all actions that we take. Understanding that personal accountability, being able to move past that that point, understanding it, learning from it, and then growing from it. It's personal growth. That's self-deification. That's self-deification. And that's how it changed me in my life, is that I learned that anything and everything that I want or need in my life, I am responsible for obtaining. There's nothing else to it beyond that. I know that beginning part is hard, and I know that there are going to be a lot of people that disagree with me, and that's fine. You can disagree with me. You can have your own ideas. I'm not going to change how I think. I don't want to change how you think. I'm merely expressing my opinion and how I believe this works. And how to obtain the most out of this path that we walk. Be responsible. Be accountable. Whatever you want to get out of life, make sure you're putting in enough to get that out of it. Because that's what it comes down to. That's what it's all about. So, on that note, as always, thank you guys for watching. And I'll see you in the next video. Tell thy fucking self.